At the beginning of the story, we see a small kitten being left on the side of the road by his dad. His name is Garfield. The little kitten is very scared. He waits for his parents, but they never return. Garfield wanders over to a nearby restaurant where he sees a boy named John sitting alone at a table, staring at his pizza. John is feeling sad because everyone else around him is happy with their families, while he has no one. Just as John is about to eat his pizza, he notices Garfield outside the window. Garfield is very hungry, so John brings him inside. John instantly likes Garfield and gives him his pizza to eat. But Garfield eats the whole pizza in one go and signals John to order more food. John agrees, but pets are not allowed in the restaurant. Meanwhile, Garfield, who is extremely hungry, runs around to different tables eating everyone's food. John tries to catch him, but Garfield keeps escaping. Just then, the family-sized lasagna John ordered arrives, and Garfield is already inside it. John takes him outside and says, "I had a lot of fun with you, but maybe this is where our journey ends." Garfield gives him a cute look. John smiles and says, "You really are cute, but pets aren't allowed in my apartment. So if it's in our fate, we'll meet again." He tells Garfield to go, but Garfield, looking sad, drifts away in a nearby river that leads into a sewer. John rushes and saves him just in time. He then decides to keep Garfield with him, giving him a new home. John had taken the apartment just so he could keep a pet. From then on, Garfield started living with John at his home. Garfield was very gluttonous. Later, John also got another pet, a dog named Odie. Garfield played a lot with him. Odie was like Garfield's assistant, bringing him all kinds of food. Garfield was living a fun and comfortable life. As he grew older, Garfield became quite chubby, but he didn't care. He kept eating a lot because he was getting everything he wanted. Garfield also loved John a lot and always looked after him. One night when Garfield felt hungry, he woke up Odie. Odie took him to the fridge. Just as they were about to take out food from the fridge, two dogs suddenly appeared through the window. They looked very dangerous. At first, Garfield thought he was dreaming, but the two dogs actually kidnapped Garfield and Odie and took them to an old building. There, they tied them upside down with ropes. Garfield tried to bribe the dogs with a lifetime supply of food and money in exchange for their freedom, but the dogs didn't listen. After some time, a masked figure dressed in black appeared and cut the ropes to free Garfield and Odie. He told them to come with him. Garfield quickly realized who it was. It was none other than his dad. Seeing his dad made Garfield very angry. He refused to go with him because he had abandoned him as a child. Just then, the villain who had captured Garfield also showed up and had Odie kidnapped. Seeing the villain's red eyes and terrifying appearance, Garfield and Odie became extremely scared. But it turned out to be just a sweet, white cat who was only pretending to scare them. Her name was Jinxie, and she was someone Garfield's dad, Vic, knew. After that, Garfield, Odie, and Vic drank milk with Jinxie as she began to share her story. She said, "I come from a small village outside of London. I came to the city quietly, chasing a dream, to become a big celebrity, to be known and loved by people. But I couldn't win people's hearts, and I faced nothing but disappointment." Jinxie was very sad because of her failures. Later, she met Vic and his gang, who were thieves by profession. She joined them. "We didn't have money," she said, "but we had each other. We had become one big happy family." But one night, while robbing a milk truck, they were caught. As they tried to escape, Jinxie was captured. Vic tries to explain to Jinxie that he had come back to rescue her, but she says, "I didn't see you anywhere around me then." Garfield confronts Jinxie, saying, "You kidnapped me and Odie just to lure my dad here, so now tell me, what do you want in return so that all of this can be settled?" Jinxie replies, "I want Vic to give me 1,675 bottles of milk, one for every day I spent locked up in prison. Let me know if you'd like the next part translated too, or want help writing it." Vic says, "Where am I supposed to get that much milk from?" Jinxie replies, "You'll have to go back to the same farm where you betrayed me. Lactose Farm. Garfield says, John must be worried about me. I have to go back, and begins to leave, but the dogs stop him. Jinxie tells him, all of you must work together to pull off this heist. Garfield asks, why should I help with this robbery? To which she replies, because only a son repays his father's debts. Garfield still refuses, so Jinxie threatens him with the mother of her 2 dogs and warns, bring all the milk within 3 days, or you already know what the consequences will be. Garfield finally agrees and sets off with his dad, Vic and Odie. Garfield tries to run away again, but Jinxie's dogs appear in front of him and scare him, saying, wherever you go, we'll be there. We'll follow you like your shadow. We have to complete this heist, and we'll have lots of fun while doing it. Garfield, still upset, says, once we repay this milk debt, you go your way and I'll go mine. In the next scene, we see John waking up in the morning. When he doesn't find Garfield and Odie at home, he gets very worried and searches the whole house, but they're nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Vic brings Garfield and Odie near some train tracks so they can jump onto a train headed to Lactose Farm, which is in another city. Then Vic puts Garfield on a dry tree branch and pulls it back hard. Vic lets go of the branch, and Garfield, after crashing into several things, finally lands inside the train. Garfield is completely shocked by all this. It's a totally new experience for him. Because of all the collisions, his body is covered with small, sharp burrs, which Odie carefully starts removing one by one. Odie then uses some things from the train to create a small bedroom space for Garfield. But just as Garfield tries to sleep, a bunch of spiders crawl over him. Vic helps by throwing dry leaves on Garfield, which scares the spiders away. Garfield learns from Vic that lost pets are rarely found again, and that filing a complaint among hundreds of others doesn't make much of a difference. Eventually, Garfield, Odie, and Vic arrive at Lactose Farm. It's a very popular farm where many families and kids come to visit. The farm's security is extremely strict, with electric fences surrounding the entire area. Because of this, it seems almost impossible for Garfield, Vic, and Odie to get inside. Garfield becomes quite worried. Just then, he sees an old goat sitting alone, staring at the farm. Garfield recognizes him. It's the famous Otto, the mascot of Lactose Farm, loved by many visitors. Garfield approaches Otto and says, I'm a big fan of yours. But Otto is very sad at the moment. He asks Garfield to sing his signature song. Garfield hesitates, saying, I sing really badly, but still gives it a try. However, Otto doesn't like Garfield singing at all and walks away. Seeing this, Garfield realizes that something must be bothering Otto deeply. Otto is sad because of his incomplete love story. Now, Odie, Garfield, and Vic go to Otto, where Otto tells them his story, how he was once the best and most famous goat on the farm and lived happily with his girlfriend Ethel. But as the farm grew larger, the new owner labeled him a crazy bull and threw him out of the farm. Ethel was turned into a children's toy. Since then, he hasn't been able to meet her. He tried many times to rescue his beloved, but failed. Now he only gets to see her once a week. Garfield tells him, I can help you free Ethel, but in return, you'll have to help us steal the milk. Otto agrees, but he knows that Garfield and his team won't be able to enter the farm because of the traps. So he explains the layout of the traps, security, and guards around the farm. Then Otto starts training Garfield and Vic, since Odie already knew everything. During the training, Garfield and Vic are not cooperating well. They keep fighting with each other. Otto gets frustrated watching them argue and wonders how they will ever work together as a team. So he asks Odie for help. Otto knew that Odie was much smarter and sharper than both Garfield and Vic. While Garfield and Vic are resting under a tree during training, Odie comes and ties them up with ropes. Garfield and Vic find themselves tied up and... The last sentence is incomplete, but seems to be shifting to another memory or event. Due to his incomplete love story, Otto was sad. Now Odie, Garfield, and Vic go to Otto, where Otto tells them his story, how once he was the best and most famous bull on the farm and used to live happily with his girlfriend Ethel. But as the farm grew bigger, the new owner labeled him a crazy bull and threw him out of the farm, and turned Ethel into a child's toy. Since then, he hadn't been able to meet her. He had tried many times to rescue his beloved but failed. Now he could only see her once every 7 days. Garfield tells Otto that he can help him free Ethel, but in return, Otto would have to help them steal the milk. Otto agrees, but he knew that Garfield and his team wouldn't be able to enter the farm because of all the traps and security, so he tells them about all the traps and security around the farm. Then Otto starts training Garfield and Vic, as Odie already knew everything. During training, Garfield and Vic are not doing well and keep fighting with each other. Seeing them fight constantly, Otto gets frustrated. He doesn't understand how Garfield and Vic will work together as a team, so he asks Odie for help. Otto knew that Odie was much smarter and sharper than Garfield and Vic. Now, when Garfield and Vic are resting under a tree during training, Odie comes there and ties them both up with ropes. Garfield and Vic find themselves tied up. The next sentence seems to start a personal anecdote, but cuts off. But that day, my luck was really bad, so I couldn't get food from the shop for you. Please confirm if you'd like that part included as part of the story. I couldn't get the food from the shop, but after the restaurant closed, I did manage to get some food from the dustbin. That day, my luck was really bad, so I left you in a safe place and went to get it. But near the dustbin, a waiter was standing for a long time, talking on his mobile phone. Because of this, it took Vic a while to get the food from the dustbin, and by the time he returned, he saw that Garfield was inside the restaurant with John. Seeing Garfield eating pizza with John and looking happy, Vic decided to leave him with John, because he knew he could never give Garfield the good life that John could, even after going away. At that moment, Otto also arrives and tells Garfield and Vic that their training is now complete because they now understand each other, so they are completely ready to enter the farm. On the other side, we see Jinx, who learns from her 2 dogs that Garfield and Vic are now ready to enter the farm. She was now about to execute her real plan. She converts the theft into something else and understands the situation clearly, then puts the farm security on high alert. Meanwhile, Otto tells Garfield and Vic that they are now fully prepared to go on the mission. Garfield, Odie, and his dad sneak into Lactose Farm by hiding in the bags of some school kids who had come to the farm for a picnic. But inside the farm, after getting inside, Garfield accidentally ends up in the cheese-making factory of the farm. Because of this, the farm guards become aware that a cat has entered the premises. During this time, Garfield faces many difficulties. While trying to escape, he climbs onto a large block of cheese that is continuously sliding downward. Before Garfield can slide down with it, he jumps at the right moment and grabs onto another piece of cheese. However, Garfield's problems are not over yet. The cheese he is hanging from is headed toward the melting section. Terrified, Garfield clings on, but just in time, Odie uses ropes made of cheese to save him. Since Odie was still connected with Garfield, he also tries to enter the farm and distract the attention of the security head. When Vic sees that escaping from there is becoming impossible, he cleverly manages to obtain the keys to the farm and locks Garfield and Odie inside a room along with the security head. Then he takes the truck and drives away. After this, the security head puts Garfield and Odie in jail. Meanwhile, Otto's plan also completely fails because Vic betrayed them. Guards give Otto an electric shock and chase him away from the farm. We then see Vic handing over the truck filled with milk to Jinx. Standing in the distance amidst the cloud, it turns out to be of no use. She says, "This milk was just an excuse. What I really wanted was for you to get caught stealing like me and be thrown in jail too. The truth is, I wanted to see you suffer as well." On the other side, Garfield is heartbroken. He couldn't understand why his dad betrayed him again. Inside the cage where Garfield was locked up, there were already other cats who were enemies of Vic, because he had betrayed all of them too. But soon John arrived at that shelter. He met Garfield and Odie and was overjoyed, then took them back home. After returning home, Garfield was very happy, but he still missed his dad. Garfield then went to the tree outside the house, because Vic had once told him that he had watched Garfield grow up from that very tree. Seeing the tally marks on the tree, Garfield realized that everything Vic had said was true. And now Vic must be in serious danger. Perhaps that's why Vic didn't let Garfield come with him, because he knew the mission was too dangerous. Determined to save his dad, Garfield leaves the house with Odie. At Lactose Farm, Garfield learns about Jinx's evil plan. He then asks Otto for help in rescuing his dad. Garfield knows that Jinx has kidnapped Vic and is taking him by train toward a high bridge to give him a terrible death. So, Garfield waits near a tall tree for the train to pass. And as soon as it does, he uses Otto's training to jump onto the train and get inside. There he sees that Jinx has tied Vic with ropes. Somehow Garfield manages to untie and free his dad. Then, both of them escape Jinx and her dogs, climbing on top of the moving train. Garfield was somehow managing to escape from the dogs, and during this time, on Garfield's instruction, Odie orders a large amount of food online. This causes many drones to arrive there carrying the food. Seeing this, Garfield becomes very happy and starts attacking Jinx's dog allies with the help of the drones. Garfield tries hard to defeat them, using the ordered pizzas and the drones, but it doesn't work. The fight moves to the top of the train. On Jinx's command, both dogs capture Garfield and Vic. Jinx then tells her dogs to throw them off the bridge so they would die. However, the dogs refuse to follow her orders, as they have now realized that what Jinx is doing is wrong. Jinx's dogs try to make her understand that she has already taken her revenge and should let Garfield and Vic go because they are bonded by love. Hearing this, Jinx gets very angry and pushes both dogs off the train along with Garfield and Vic. All four start falling down. In the process, Jinx also collides with a pole and falls down too. The large dog tries to use his skin like a parachute to save everyone, but it quickly loses air. Everyone feels like they are about to die. But just in time, Otto arrives and saves them all, catching them in a net. Otto even saves Jinx's life. All the misunderstandings between Garfield and Vic are now cleared up, and Otto is very happy that, after this, Garfield calls the security head of Lactose Farm and hands over Jinx to her. Jinx is arrested and taken away. Otto is very happy to reunite with his love, Ethel. Garfield then returns to John's house along with Odie and his dad, Vic, where Vic also begins living happily. John was a good man and loved Garfield very much, so he also allows Vic to stay in his home. With this, the movie comes to an